And 3, 2, 1, action.
Dave and Katie Show, episode 16, starring the world famous Dave Shell with the background noise of Katie Walker.
And let's start this podcast because it's been what, 2.5 weeks or so.
It has.
Yeah.
A lot of that's been on me.
Well, no, I spent a long couple of weeks in California, so let's thank our sponsor once again, Jesse Law Firm. Crystal,
Jesse
thank
Law
you.
Firm. Crystal.
The donuts were great today. I appreciate that.
I got a $500 gift card. Did you just get donuts?
Wait a minute. Did you? Well, the donuts were like personal, like that was more personal. She just got you a freaking gift card. Like anybody can go buy one. Like she had to pick the donuts out for me. But I wanted to let you know I thought
I can be bought. If anyone's wondering, I can be bought.
I can too, and I'm cheap. Like you don't even have to get like Krispy Kreme donuts for me. You can go into the convenience store and get me a little pack of the Hostess or whatever they are. But I thought of you twice today, Katie. I just wanted to let you know that.
Oh, all good thoughts. I'm hoping.
The first time is when I was going to the golf course and I thought, you're never going to beat me. I mean, let's just be honest. And then 2, I put my earrings, and I know how much you love my earrings.
I do. I think they're amazing.
But you might
put them both in or just one?
I got both in. Yeah, I it's weird. I'll look at the mirror, I'm like, a 25-year-old guy like me, really, do I need to be wearing earrings? But
who cares?
I've always loved them. Like when I was young, we'd go to the beach, a bunch of us, and I'd always get my ear pierced. And the day I was coming back home to be with back at the house with my mom, it came out. So it was just, I never got to like fully wear them for any amount of time. And then when, got in law enforcement, it was, it wasn't an option.
Really? I thought you got them pierced when you did undercover.
I got them pierced when I was off because I was going to be off for a while.
Okay.
Now, if you are working with the drug task force and stuff like that, yeah, you can, because it just, it blends you in a little more with just, you can wear your hair longer, you can go, you have to look more normal versus, looking like a cop.
Right.
But yeah, I didn't play with the Revivalist golf balls today. I was playing with some young whippersnappers that work at the sheriff's department, and I was trying to use balls that would give me like 10 or 15 more yards difference, and they didn't. I was constantly hitting. Like my mind says that I'm still a real good golfer, and I can hit all these great shots, and my
until
body
you play with me, and then you have self-doubt.
Well, my body says, no, old man, you probably aren't going to be able to make it 18 holes before you have a heart attack and kick the bucket. I got tired today. I was good for about 13 holes, and then I gassed out.
Did you play the last 5?
Well, yeah, I paid for it. I'm not giving them free money. And we got an opportunity. We played Link Hills today, which is just a wonderful golf course. And I love playing there, and I usually play fairly good there. I've played some real good golf there, but today wasn't one of them.
We should do one of our podcasts from the driving range down in Knoxville. I've not played there yet, or I've not hit from there.
Oh, well, that's cool. Or we could play do a video from the driving range here in Greene County, where I don't have to drive 150,000 miles. Just
I like
saying.
my idea better.
Listen, I can't. There's no way I can do a podcast and hit a golf ball. I can't do two things at one time.
You hit
That
the
that
ball,
that is literally why I'm
we
driving.
document the yardage, I hit the ball, and we see how much further mine goes. It's easy.
You, I, I mean, I don't know what delusional world you live in,
It's a
but
happy one.
you never. Well, I'm not going to say never, but
I'm
like,
pretty sure we had some overseers that day besides us.
yeah, you know what? And they were as interested in your butt as they was where that golf ball was going. So no, I wasn't going to get a fair shake on whether I out hit you or not.
Hey,
I don't even
hey,
want to hear
sometimes
that
it helps
crap.
being a female there,
Here,
buddy.
you were like, oh, let me hit, guys. Let me hit. And it, like I'm sitting there going, you gotta freaking be
You
kidding me
can't hit
right
in 4-inch heels, Katie. Yes, I can.
I'll tell you, I've never seen someone make sure that there was no way I was winning. It's a wonder you didn't go. You know, I don't know why you just don't play golf topless and pull it off because I mean I had no shot at winning. Um, and you know, I agree with what everybody tells me that I do need to have a hobby to make sure when work's not forcing me to get out, that there's something else that makes me go somewhere. But I'm telling you, it's not golf is just not cheap. And
No,
and
it's not.
and you know, I went from playing 4 times a week to not to just literally not playing golf. And I've enjoyed. I've been out 4 times now, and I've enjoyed every one of them so much. Um, And then so you start thinking, well, my golf clubs, they're old. I'm like, you gotta get new golf clubs. You get new irons, you get a new driver, you get a new putter, you get a new golf bag. All of a sudden you're $2,500, $3,000 in the hole.
Mm-hmm.
That is crazy. And then
Yeah,
and then
golf's
and
not.
then and then you're gonna pay anywhere from $35 to $50 to play around the golf.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
I'm gonna have to become a kept man for somebody. I got some money that can, you know, I'll just be like, yeah, if you could just pay for my 2 rounds of golf this week, I'll do whatever you need. Yeah, I'm good.
Yes, man. Did
I'm, I mean, I'm just saying, but you know, I'm not kidding you. I really can't do two things at one time. I've probably really never been able to, but I think it was I could at least fake it a little bit better pre um uh I need to come up with a name for uh I I don't think I had a nervous breakdown uh because I I I and you maybe you can explain it. I don't exactly know what the medical term defining what they constitute as being like a mental breakdown,
I don't either. And what a
but
nervous breakdown. Like I don't know, Dave. I mean, I don't know if those are just.
like I mean I just became fearful of the world.
Yeah, I mean, you had a significant trauma response.
Yeah, right. And but so pre let's just come up with a word. Pre
So a nervous breakdown, it says while it's not a formal diagnosis, right? So it's not used in the medical field, describes a period of intense emotional and mental distress that can significantly impact a person's ability to function in their daily life. So,
well,
so honestly, I mean, yeah, you
that's
could say
pretty
that.
broad. That's pretty broad.
It
That I
is.
mean that covers.
But how many times, Dave, let's think about this. How many times in people's life do people have intense emotional and mental distress that significantly impacts your function in your daily life? Pretty sure we all have nervous breakdowns at some time during our
Yeah,
life.
but
But you're
mine was an impact. Mine was a complete shutdown. Like it.
yeah, I feel like yours was almost like a I mean, remember they thought you had a stroke.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah,
yours,
they really did.
right. Like it was almost like it was a a severe inflammatory. And I think Dave, I could be wrong, but didn't you get an MRI that showed like old injury?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So you could have, right? I mean, who knows? Who knows if we have a lot of stress in our life that
Oh, yeah, but
increases.
I mean, I really don't care how you want to label it. It's not like I could stop it.
And my thing, Dave, is I think you could say TBI. I think you could say it's traumatic brain injury.
Probably could.
You know,
Um, but now, oh shoot, I forgot where I was going with that. But
I think
oh,
you're just
anyways,
complimenting me on how cool of a person I am, but continue.
I know what it was. About not being able to do two things at one time. I was in Hollywood, California. Um,
Did you see my handprints on the sidewalk?
well, yeah. This is where that's going. I'm driving, and I mean it was an hour and a half to drive 11 miles every day to the job site and back to the hotel, and so I'm driving down through there, and I'm good if traffic is slow. I'm fine with that. I just don't like being on the interstate and you're doing 75 and all of a sudden you've got to slam brakes on because traffic's just stopped.
Yes, they call those like LA, California stops, LA stops, something like that. It's
Yeah,
crazy. Crazy.
yeah,
Yes.
and we actually hit one going to Louisville middle of last week. We just like were stopped for probably 50 minutes just sitting there. But so I'm driving down through there and I'm looking at all these people and I'm like, "What's a crowded area?" And now I'm looking and they're all looking down. And I'm like, "What are they looking at?" And look over and I'm like, "Holy shit, there's the stars." I look up and I'm on Hollywood Boulevard and don't even know it. Driving right down, I see the Chinese theaters. That I'm like, what in? I'm like, first of all, how did I get on this street?
Right.
Because and it's a
Well, it's not
famous.
nearly as fancy as you would expect.
No, it's not. But the thing was, it's so cool because there's so many places you see on TV and stuff, and you just really don't ever think you'll ever be. Like I'm driving down through there. I'm like clueless of where I am at that particular moment. And then when I find out, I'm just like, oh, that's and I'm
Did
like
you pull over and walk?
no, my hotel room was like it was like maybe a quarter of a mile at the most from it, so very walkable.
And you stayed for 2 weeks
Yeah, I was out there.
and
Yeah,
you didn't go that quarter of a
well, I
mile?
had to switch hotels because I was 3 hours a day driving.
Oh,
And so I moved down to Santa Monica, um, and I had to pay the room for 6 nights was 2,800 and like $68, and that included $63 a day for parking at the hotel. So I like it just rages me. But I had a $72 food and beverage credit at the hotel every day
there you go.
for food and
Got you a
beverage, and it
sandwich and a
got me one
coffee?
meal. Well, I either ate they called them steak frites out there or something or other, but they were delicious. I
Yeah.
either ate them or a ribeye. I mean, I went big. Well, they didn't have the only real choice they had was chicken, and I'm not a chicken fan.
Yeah. No, the steak frites, yeah, that's your little fancy French fries. They're good. They have them in Knoxville.
Uh,
You drive down here so I can show you how to hit a club.
Katie,
So,
are you on Wacky Tobacco? Because I mean, like I understand I live in the past, but like, dude, you're not athletic anymore. When are you going to
it's
learn that?
true. It is true, Dave. I went to
Yeah,
the gym. I
I
finally
mean,
started going.
it's time. It's time for you to accept you're not the Katie all state softball, golf, everything. Go to college and play ball. No, you're not.
I know.
You're
You're
a
washed up.
mom. You're a mom that works 90 hours a week, and doesn't, yeah, you're not athletic. I'm sorry. And we
Well,
don't even want to talk about hunting, you
you
know.
just wait.
I mean, do we really want to go there?
I so beat you on the pigeon shoot.
Okay, first of all, we were dove
Dove,
hunting.
dove
Yeah,
hunting.
yeah. And um
They
I
were close.
I mean you didn't you I mean that right there just tells you that you didn't beat me.
I,
First,
I think now I did get the first shot of the hunt.
you might have got no, you didn't kill the first bird,
I
no.
sure did.
No.
I did.
Mm-mm.
Yep. Ask Tony
Mm-mm.
Palazzo, Paul Landry. Yep, they saw me do it.
I I I I mean, let's just throw this out here. It seems like you've got a real good potent strain of wacky backy. Maybe I need to come down and see if that helps me mentally out, because I think everybody that might watch this, which is about 5 people, they'd like to be
To know where
enjoying
I get
life
my
like you
stash.
are.
Why is she always so happy?
Yeah, I mean, uh,
Secrets.
do I need to call the my agent and have them throw a drug test on you or something? Make sure you know that.
It would come back pure gold.
I believe that.
It'd start selling it.
I might have to buy it. You know, can I get a
You
discount?
know what this is called? This is called sleep deprivation, but it's hilarious when it goes.
Hey, and also, we did a booster.
Yes, you want to talk about your booster there, buddy? Actually, you know what? Yeah, why don't you talk about it?
Well, I mean,
Talk about your milestone here, Dave. We've known each other since 2018.
January of 2018, like right at the beginning of the year, it was
Okay.
because you called me at the end of 2017.
No, the clinic opened February 2018.
I, I'd love to know what's in my head is actually true versus what like I
So
look
I think Dave, we're both wrong. And I think that you first got your infusion series towards the end of 2018.
no, no, I can tell you that's not true. And the reason why I can tell
I
you
could
why,
technically pull your records.
right? I know you can, and probably we'll probably need to. I'll be curious on that, but literally, um, I don't think so, because 2017 was hell for me. You know,
It was, yeah. I mean, but we didn't open the clinic till February 2018.
I was your second patient. Are you telling me you didn't have but one patient between February and
I think
whenever?
you're I think you were the second patient in the new building,
Where was the old building at?
Huxley.
No, that's
I know, but you went to Huxley too, but the new building, I think there was only one person who came in prior to you.
no Huxley. No, no, I'm second patient.
You're number one in my book.
Now
Let's talk about this milestone here, buddy. What's happened in the past since we've known each other since 2018? Either Katie Walker, your wife, your daughters, or your practitioners have always helped to lead and guide your way to Revitalist.
yes,
Well, with your resistance
yes,
on this. And
and it wasn't because I thought it was a waste of money or anything.
right, it's just you
I
don't.
had a real hard time believing that this is in my mind is an illness. It is no different than receiving
That
treatment
it's long
for,
term. It's something that needs to be maintained.
yes, yes.
That's right.
It's and I don't mean anything like not saying mental health is like cancer. I'm not,
That's right. Remember
but they both,
we had that talk.
yeah, they both require though, um, routine maintenance for really for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You always need to be on top of that issue.
Mm-hmm.
And
And that's all of us. We all, Dave. So all of us, our entire life, we go through periods of psychological evolution every day. So from the time that we're born on this earth till the time that we leave this earth, we are all having psychological development. Good, bad, ugly, from old to young to old, all these things, right? And our brain never stops maturing or moving or growing. If we disregard it, we get kind of left because
Listen, after I do a booster, my mind truly is very clear. Like it slows down enough to where I can process things a lot clearer, and I've really been like trying to break down this catastrophic thinking. Like what led me to the catastrophic thinking, because when I played golf a couple Sundays ago, whenever it was, with Megan and Andy and Peyton and me and Tom, we had I had a little child there, gorgeous, but they had the little child had walked over, like, and it was sort of in the line of where we were going to be teeing off. So they were trying to get their attention to have them, grab them and get them out. And my heart just, like, it started hurting because I pictured myself hitting the child with the off the tee with a golf ball.
Yep.
And like I literally, it's almost like I was breaking out in just a sweats, and I was like, dude, it didn't happen, but that I automatically, that's where I go on any type of situation. And I was like, why did I start thinking that way? And then I start just bouncing back to some of the incidents and stuff that I was involved in with work, and hell, that's all that's what that job is, and
Dave, like,
it how do you change that from 26 years of basically thinking that way to all of a sudden now you're like, if I truly think if I can get out of that's at least a third of my battle.
right. But think about this, Dave. Think about so when people do struggle with PTSD, right? They can't differentiate reality versus non-reality. Sometimes it all kind of feels the same, and it's really hard to be like, what's 3D versus 4D versus dissociation. It's almost like the brain loses its boundaries a little bit, which when people get flashbacks, they feel like the flashbacks are real. But think about it, Dave. We all go through certain times in life to where there's the truth in the present, but we all remember it differently.
Yes.
So we can go back and think about the past, and we can ask ourselves, like, did that even happen? I mean, now, right? I mean, that I'm at the ripe old age of 21, these last 2 decades that I've been alive, I've wondered, like, reflecting on my teenage years,
Ma'am.
did those things
Yeah.
actually happen? Yes, Dave, you have a question?
Well, you forget the first part of our conversation when we started this, about that you're no longer a spring chicken, remember? You think you are.
I've been out of high school for
You think
3
you're
years,
still
Dave.
like you could go put on, which I don't think, were you a cheerleader?
No.
Oh,
I was a
exactly. I
dancer.
didn't
I
think
did
you were.
dance.
But you feel like you could put that outfit on and still wear it today, and guess what? You can't. But let me give you an example here, and see if this is accurate. I went to assist on a wreck, a crash. It was one vehicle. It had been raining. It technically they say hydroplaning is not. You can't roll it like it's high, but the car hydroplaned. Its wheels broke traction from the pavement and caused it to lose control. Went off of the side of the road, and through, like, slid through a driveway down into a yard at the very edge of the roadway. And I get there, first one there, and the guy's out of the car and he's not hurt, and everything's going good. And so we're there. I'm assisting Tennessee Highway Patrol because it's on a state highway, and we're just like getting a wrecker out there to get the car out and everything. Overall a fairly simple crash. No one's hurt, and all, and also a record driver comes up and he goes, "Where's my driver at?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, we got he come out to get a car or something or another." And all of a sudden I look over and I'm like, "Well, there's two wreckers there, and so I just walk back down to the car and start walking around the car, and just I widen my area of walking around the car, and find the driver not alive. The car had hydroplaned and was just basically just spinning out of control, and the gentleman was at the road waiting to flag down the other driver coming out because you couldn't see it from the roadway necessarily. And the guy never knew he hit him, but when he was hydroplaning, he hit the guy standing there. It threw him in the air, and I don't want to talk. I'm not going to go into any more detail, just out of respect. But it is horrible. And I don't know how many times I had walked within 10 yards of him and had no clue he was laying over there. And, I went through the whole, if I'd have found him an hour ago, it wouldn't have made a difference due to it was bad. But after that, whenever I'd go up to a car that was like abandoned or something, or I like a month later, I remember going up way up the road from where I like this was when I was working in Belton, and I'd go way up the Horton Highway, and there was a truck off in the creek upside down. And I remember walking up, as I was walking up, I was just so scared because I didn't want to find somebody dead, you know. And I just remember being so scared. And fortunately, I walk up and there was nobody in it. They had gotten out. But I think you go to catastrophic thinking to go ahead and be prepared before you ever arrive on scene, because you don't want to be scared in that job.
Right.
So if you go ahead and expect there to be a dead body strapped in a seatbelt hanging upside down, it makes it a lot easier.
It does, but I think if you aren't aware to acknowledge catastrophic thinking, then you can start living in a catastrophic mindset. But if you recognize it, right, that like, okay, bad situation, my mind's probably going to go to the worst of the worst because that's what it does to try to prepare itself. And then when that doesn't happen, you're acknowledging that that happens. It's like me with death. Like, I mean, I've been around a lot of death, but when there's death close to me, like I know that I'm going to have some type of weird reaction because my brain doesn't really know how to accept acute death. And that I need to give myself some space to allow it to process.
Well, let me ask you this, because like you have, in being, I can't, I'm not going to embarrass myself trying to pronounce what your technical title was, in the hospital, because I don't know why they
I
don't
think it
just
was like
say,
it's like CPE, coolest person ever.
well,
Usually that's
no,
what they
no,
call
I
me.
don't say, instead of saying what nurse anesthesiologist.
Well, that's what a lot of people like to say is nurse anesthesiologist, but they'll also say nurse anesthetist.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. Why didn't they just say person who puts you to sleep?
Because they all are peeing on each other's shoes.
You know what I'm saying? No, because I can pronounce that.
I mean,
But,
technically,
but
technically, Dave, they should say like a physician anesthesiologist or a nurse anesthesiologist. That's what they should say.
okay.
The physicians are trying to own the term anesthesiologist, and anesthesiologists only exist in the United States. There are no other anesthesiologists. The rest of
Well,
the world are called anesthetists.
let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room. Um, I'm not feeling sorry for you because you're tired.
Can you feel sorry for me because I'm
You
tired?
were in the British Virgin Islands posting crap on
You
Facebook
know what I
about,
got to do?
like, no, I don't want to even hear it.
You know what I didn't post about, Dave?
You're trying to get pity from my viewers. Poor Katie's not had sleep. Well, poor Katie was on the beach. It looks like she was in an airplane too.
So I
You
have to
didn't
ride
fly it,
on
did
these.
you?
We have to ride on these little airplanes. This little guy.
Yeah.
So they were like, "Do you want to ride in the cockpit?" And I was like, "Yes." So they didn't have any more room on the plane, so I got to ride in the cockpit with the pilot.
I'm just glad the pilot had enough sense not to let you fly.
And he said next time I can. I got his contact. We're good buddies
Okay,
now.
okay.
I knew him
Let's
for
don't get
45
him.
minutes, and
Let's
now we're
don't
ready
get
to go.
his pilot license taken away by mentioning his name, because that, trust me, that would happen right off the bat. But anyway, so back to what you said
Me
there,
being tired. Sorry. Yeah.
Um, I was never trained on catastrophic thinking.
Nobody is in the medical world, Dave. We're not trained on catastrophic thinking.
Okay, but here, and
I've
please,
only learned it from it working with all these therapists that
I
told
mean,
me that.
please don't. I don't want anybody to ever take offense to my thought process, because I mean no ill will to anybody. But I'm sorry, there's a world difference between, well, I'm not, no, I can't say that, because I don't know. Well, yeah, I have seen somebody die on a hospital bed on an operating table, but it's as sick as it sounds, it's still a controlled environment.
Oh yeah.
You know, like you're
You know
warned
what you're
ahead of
getting. You get
time.
a report on what you're getting, even if it's like a gunshot wound
Yes,
to the chest or the
yeah,
head.
you have an idea of
Right.
what's fixing to come into that ER.
100%.
Um, we work on some limited information the majority of the time on calls. So like, and I think if you automatically, if you know you're going to um, a child abuse
Sure.
case, you go ahead and go to the worst, so that nothing shocks your conscience when you get there.
Yeah.
And I played with 3 sheriff's deputies today, and one of them said, you know, I I've been shot at. I'm tired of seeing burned babies. And I'm sitting there going, in my mind, I'm going, how does anybody survive? How
And like, and the amount of
how,
support,
how do you go home at night and go to sleep?
right? And the amount of support that we don't give you guys, we just expect that it's normal is crazy.
Well, you literally, you could, you take, I I worked, I was involved in a crash that 3 people lost their life, and I still had 9 hours to go on shift, and you don't get to go home. We didn't get to go home and process that, talk to our our parents or our mom or our wife or girlfriend or our significant other, well, you don't get to do it. You had to go answer other calls. And then when you get home after a 12-hour shift, you have to try to lay down and get some sleep because you got to go back in that night. That job set up for failure.
Yeah. 100%.
And we can't get the right person to believe that you can change that. You can train officers to be mentally prepared to handle that stuff.
Well, they can be more aware of it, right? I mean, I think that's the fear, Dave, is like the more education that we have on PTSD and depression, anxiety, the more that we can be aware of it, meaning the less emotional response we'll have. So like if you're sitting there and you're thinking, I don't want to get PTSD. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know anything about PTSD. And if I get it, are they going to take my weapon away? Am I going to lose my job? Like you just start down this really negative cascade of thought that instills this huge sense of fear. And then you're walking around, you don't even know if you've got PTSD, which more than likely you do anyway. So you're just like this walking time bomb. And the more we could understand it and say, hey, it's normal for people to have trauma responses in a job like this. It's normal not to sleep. It's normal to have suicidal thoughts sometimes. It's normal to have catastrophic thoughts sometimes. And people go, "Oh my gosh, you mean it's normal for me to feel this way?" Absolutely. It's emotional response that you're having. So let's just try to figure out how we can best support you when you do have this.
Well, I did lose my job.
100%. I understand
You know what I'm saying?
your
Like,
entire situation though, Dave, is decades of officers not being supported. And it's the same thing with firemen, same thing with EMS, EMTs, all them.
yes, but I will say, um, let's give a shout out
Yeah.
um, to the state of Tennessee and Aaron Mayberry, who is a representative, and also Senator Paul Bailey for sponsoring a bill that passed that now gives us help.
Did it pass both? Is it law now?
Yeah, I believe so. It doesn't it doesn't help someone like me, but it helps someone from being like me.
I don't
Um,
disagree. And that was one thing I was actually reached out to that guy. I don't know how to, I need to message him or try to message him again, but it would be nice if, yes, it's great that they got that approved for officers moving forward, but it would be great if they got it approved with some type of
it says
in the last 5 years.
it says 91 state representatives who supported the bill, um, and all of the state senators, they voted unanimously. Um, here's what the gentleman wrote. He said, I was told once there was not a path through which I could receive workman's compensation, even though I had a diagnosis of PTSD that I was told was a direct result of my career in law enforcement. I fought tooth and nail to get the coverage they told me I couldn't get. I told them that I was going to create a path so that no cop had to fight the way I did to get the care they need. They laughed at me. The path has been passed to the governor to sign. Hang in there, guys. I can't imagine that guy's fight, because I got no responses. I got told no. I mainly got no response back. It's just like, if we don't respond, maybe he'll forget. But kudos to that gentleman and kudos to the fact where in the state he lives at, that his representatives actually give a shit.
Yeah. No, you're right.
You know, because
Well, and I
we
think it
already have
tells you too,
established
Dave,
that
that you're not alone.
mine in Greene County, worthless.
Yeah.
He's absolutely worthless. And I'm
Maybe
not
he
going to
voted for it and
comment
he's going
on,
to take credit for it.
I'm not, oh, I'm sure, but I'm not gonna harp on your gentleman in your area because we'll still wait for him to get back to you about whether he'll come on the show or not.
Well, you know what we need to do,
Well,
Dave.
we just know that it's not going to happen because evidently this area of Tennessee doesn't really care as long as they're safe at night. They don't care if they have to replace an officer here and there.
Right. No, you're right, Dave. And I think I told you I met that guy, Brian, shoot.
He's not that guy.
What?
He's not that guy.
The Brian guy that I met,
He's not that guy.
who was on Joe Rogan.
He's not that guy.
He hold on.
You don't even understand. You don't remember that commercial
No, I'm
where the guy says,
actually
"I'm that
younger.
guy," and he goes, "You're not that guy. You're just not
No.
that guy."
Brian Hubbard. Dave,
How much money does he get? How much money do they pay him to come and speak?
I was born
Hey,
several
wait a minute, wait a
decades,
minute, wait a minute. You done
several
got me.
decades
No,
after
no,
you.
you got me fired up. Wait a second. I want to get back to because I've harped, complained, preached, whatever you want to say about this almost
Nag.
on every show. The only people that want to talk about this either are getting paid a lot of money or they're better. You know, how many people do you know like me who's living in it every day and
You're not wrong.
and I'll go anywhere, show up anywhere to make sure there's not another Dave Shell in this world. I I don't need you want to pay me money? Yeah, I'll put it in an account and pay for somebody's ketamine treatment. I this is not a profit. This is not something to make profit off of. This is something to get people from being like me, to give somebody a shot that, hey, there's signs, there's warning signs. We need to teach those in that are very recognizable, and we as a department should be watching each other for these signs and stopping it so that you can finish out a career in law enforcement and retire and be proud of the retirement instead of being embarrassed because you had to walk out 3 years. This would have been my 30th year. This would have been my retirement year. And I didn't get it.
Right. Yeah. Oh, it would be nice if there was a grace period from that law that they signed.
Well, I I mean I don't need it. Because
I know
what's
you
it
I
gonna
know you
do?
don't, but there's a lot of guys, Dave, that are like you that don't have the tenacity that you have in pushing forward.
Here's the thing about it. I know there's people out there. I do, but um, I think for the most part, not everybody, but the majority, the vast majority, they have someone in their corner. Um,
But
ultimately,
you got me in your corner. Come on
no,
now.
that's what I'm saying. Ultimately, though, um, there's a way.
There is a way.
You
There's a
might be.
way, and there's just a lot of perseverance and
Listen, this ain't easy.
no.
It's a battle every day for me. I literally have it tattooed on my arm. Stay, tomorrow needs you, to make sure I understand that, because I don't always think that.
You know what, Dave? I was thinking the other day, and I was thinking about for
You want to
veterans.
get a matching tattoo?
Yeah, I'm gonna get mine on my neck.
No, I'm gonna give you. I'm young Padawan. I'm gonna give you advice that I gave my daughters. It's your body. Do whatever you want to do with it. If that's between you and whoever, but do not do something that could create a situation where it costs you an opportunity for a job.
So I was thinking about getting stars here. And then you can call me Star.
I'm not calling you stars, first of all. Um, I knew a very nice lady that worked at the courthouse named Star, who helped me a whole lot when I was a young officer. You're not Star, okay? but what I was getting to is, um, I would say on my path through this whole ordeal, situation, health crisis, illness, um, I had I had a, well, I just beyond fortunate to end up with an awesome team of people helping me.
They are your
Mm.
family still. I mean, that's kind of the nice thing is a lot of your officers that you worked with.
I have it's always going to be a sore subject with me a little bit because I did get shunned a little. There was more than just one reason why, but um, where that culture is so stigmatized,
Hmm.
all of a sudden you have a person here, and rightfully so, they do have to doubt and question whether they want me backing them up on kicking a door in and going in a house with an armed gunman. I don't fault them for that, but at the same time, um, it just sent me even more into a dark hole because you know you could feel it anytime I was around some of the younger ones and stuff that didn't know me prior to that, that didn't know that I was always someone that, I mean, if you were getting your butt kicked, I was getting my butt kicked with you. And if you were getting shot at, I was getting shot at because I didn't have enough sense not to know any better.
Hmm.
If you and I were on a call, your life was more important than my life. Um, that's just, I mean, to get in that line of work, you have to have that mentality that everybody's life is more important than yours. Because why would any normal, rational thinking person ever run towards gunfire?
You're not wrong.
You know, and you can pull it up 1,000 YouTube videos where you see an officer jump out of his car and he's not even thinking as he's running towards somebody doing a shooting in a grocery store. And
Yep.
you know, he's being underpaid probably by about $50,000 a year for what he's doing.
Yep.
And he doesn't even blink an eye, or she doesn't even blink an eye. They go because that's your job.
Right.
Okay.
That's what you're protecting,
Yeah.
right?
And, but yet so many states say, well, we understand that that really messed your mind up mentally, but hey, that's just an inherent risk of the job. Huh. Okay. That right there is a complete and utter cop out to make sure that 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 part of the government has money. They're I'm sorry, but to say to have documentation showing that you have a mental illness, a mental issue going on that was created from a work environment until how can you sit there and say, well, we understand that, but it's really considered a risk of your job. What if we looked at the military like that?
Right.
Because if you're not drafted, then that means you volunteered to get, like you went into that as a job.
You just have to
Okay.
think about how immature society is, Dave. We're just now looking at these
Hey,
things that we
nah,
know that are life
no,
costing.
I just want to know what the hell happened to common sense because, you know, maybe that was the case in the 1950s. We're in 2025. If you're still thinking that way, you ever heard that expression? You need to, is it shit or get off the pot one or whatever? Well, there's a lot of people need to get off of the pot and go retire
Yeah. You're
because
right.
your old way of thinking is so wrong.
Dead. Oh, it's wrong. Yeah, because it doesn't exist. I mean, it, yeah,
No, no, there,
yes.
but honestly, I think this is part of my problem because I always say now I'm very good about this. I don't understand. I don't understand your thinking, but explain it to me in a way to where I can. I don't know that I'm going to agree with you, but at least I want you to explain it to me. Well, you know, I can go down there. I'll go to it. They would never have me there, but I go to the governor. I go wherever, and all I want to do is explain to me how that way of thinking is right. if you can make me understand it, I'm still not going to agree with you, but I'll be okay with it then. But the problem is it's not right, and they can't. So
Right.
what do? They don't talk to you. They won't listen to you.
No, you're right. You're well, and they don't know what to say. I mean, that's a piece of it.
I'm not
Now
asking
we at
if
least have
they.
the what?
I don't. If I was sitting down with uh, I don't even like to say his name because I think he did a horrible job as governor of the state of Tennessee. And I don't care who I piss off with that. I don't care if I piss him off. Not that he was going to watch our podcast, but
You
I could
never
care
know.
less. I would tell him to his face he's done a piss poor job.
Who?
But
The Lee guy?
the thing is this is
Billy.
not. I'm not the first person to get on a YouTube video or whatever and talk about this. So, how someone that we elect, whether it be your local representative or whatever, how can these people do their job when they don't? When I'm tired of people being fake. Don't say you're here to represent us
There's
when
always
you
going to be fake people.
when you won't represent us.
Right.
You know, the gentleman that gets paid a lot of money to go around speaking about how he's cured of his mental health issues, and he gets paid a tremendous salary basically to do it. Um, he does it, and I hope he maybe donates money towards some type of mental health charity or something. I would be surprised if he does though, because as I've always said, once people get better, they quit talking about it.
You know why? Do you ever know
Yeah,
the
I know why, because they don't want to be labeled that way.
Nope, it's the song from Frozen.
Oh, let it go, let it
No.
go.
I
I think of Bill when
know you do, I do too.
yeah,
No, because it says here's what it says. And then when I hear this line, it really hits home. But it says it's funny how some distance makes everything seem small.
very
And the
accurate.
fears that once controlled me can't get to me at all. So what happens, right, is when they're in that storm and in the fear, it's real. And all of a sudden we get out of the storm goes away, and we're like, oh, look, the sun's up again. And we don't have that connection anymore. And I always tell people, Dave, and I've probably told you this before too, don't ever forget where you came from. And not mean
Oh,
that you have to live it.
wait a minute. Are you trying to tell me you're claiming you came up with that?
Yeah.
No, you did not
Is
come
that
up
what
with
you
it.
say?
But listen, I don't, because you know what? When I mean, I before you started, like before we were recording, however,
For
um,
multiple million people watching.
I told you, that booster really slows me down to where I have clear thinking, but I never forget where I'm coming from.
I
And
know
I'm
you don't. Right. But a
and
lot of
and
people do, Dave. They
and
they forget what it felt like. And
listen, I've resigned myself that I'm not getting better. I just hope I have hope that I'm getting better, but I'm done. I'm done expecting it. Um, but I'll never be done. I will never be embarrassed to sit down with somebody and say, when they say I'm embarrassed. I thought about taking my life, and I'm going to look at them and go, I probably do 4 times a week at least. And that's on a good week. That's when because what's the easiest thing to do in life is take the easy way of thinking
take
you're
the path
fixing.
of least resistance.
Yes, and um, that's where your brain's going to go. And as you told me, and I don't think you made. I'm pretty sure somebody had said it to you, and it just stuck with you. But how do we know it works? Because we've never been able to talk to a dead person.
And you know what? People now in the psychedelic space, a lot of the psychedelic space believes in like reincarnation. And they're like, if you end this life, you have to start it all over again. and you get to the exact same spot, and then you get to make another decision.
Oh, let me tell you something. I would live like, dude, I'd be living large in that next life up, making sure when I hit that spot again, I had literally done any and everything I ever wanted to do. Um, but I just I always I probably go too far with my friends that are still in law enforcement about just being so just over worried about them. And I just like, I don't want you to be like me and stuff. But I'll never not, I will always talk about it. Because it has made me a better person. But man, it's brought a lot of difficulties with it.
Mhm.
Um,
But you had
but
to figure it out all on your own. It was a blind path.
well, no, I mean, I had Tracy and you and
Right, but
Kate.
there still wasn't a structure. We just walked with you in the blind path.
Yeah, you were as blind as I was as
That's
far
right.
as
All
as
what to do and yeah,
yeah,
how
as
to
far
do
as
it.
what
Could you still work at the station?
yeah, yeah, like you all were no more versed on that kind of stuff as what I was.
Zoom, Dave, Zoom just said, Zoom just sent me a message and said, confirm your speaking language. It sounds like you might have switched to a different language. Please update it so we can provide better quality transcription. So it's wondering if we're speaking English.
Well, I actually have mine set to Spanish. So this is going out to all my friends that are Spanish speaking.
But Dave, here's the thing, right? With mental health, how cool is it that we can talk about mental health? All of it. And we're not
Um,
here. I'm not here to instill fear with you to say, oh, Dave, you should worry. Oh, Dave, you should do, oh, Dave, kind of thing. But it's like, okay, you know what? That sucks. Bad day. It
oh, I would
sucks.
much rather somebody. And I understand. You got to be able to adapt to each individual. It's not a blanket. You know,
Right.
E- everybody that as I had to learn, trauma is whatever that person thinks is trauma.
Right.
That doesn't
Yeah.
mean it's my trauma, but it's the same as I would much rather you tell me, Dave, you're gonna have those just shitty days.
Hmm.
What we got to do is we can't keep you from having them.
And here's some things that you can do to support you during
We
those
just
shitty
got
days.
to figure out how to get you to the next day and hope it's not as shitty.
That's
And
right.
there's other people that you can't quite be that blunt about it, but I think with mental health, when you get with the right individuals, they take the time to do that. I was unfortunate, as a lot of people are, where I got the only place we needed to go was through the state, and it was a puppy mill. They ran you in there, said, "Oh yeah, you got PTSD. We're going to throw you on this medication." And then if that one doesn't work, we'll flip up my little book that says if this doesn't work, you go to this one. If this one doesn't work, no time was spent to find out exactly why they were saying I had PTSD. It
Right.
was it was literally get me in there, get me out of there so he can see the next patient.
Right. Right.
And that's a product of that system. It's not that
It is the system, Dave. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right
it's
with it.
not that person necessarily that's how they wanted to operate. It's just that's how they had to operate if they wanted to keep their job.
Right.
And literally that I don't know why that didn't send me to the grave, because
And
I
it probably
felt
has sent a lot of people to their
I,
grave.
I felt at that point that there was zero chance,
Hmm.
because I came out of there so angry, so embarrassed, so humiliated that I'm fighting to just take another breath of air. And I was literally being treated like I guess how you do in the military when you got to go get your shots before you can go here or there. It's just a constant line, and you don't get to decide if you want a shot or not. If you're going to be in this line of work, you got to have it, and you go up and you get it, and there's no there's no, hey, how are you today? You know, are your symptoms bad? Are you know, how would you rate your symptoms right now? It was literally, I see you've been diagnosed with PTSD. We need to just start you, and it's gonna all unless somebody takes the time, it's always gonna be the same medication they start everybody on. Well, guess what? It didn't work, but guess what? It did. It messed my body all up. Now you brought in a second set of issues for me. I'm already struggling mentally, but now you've just effed my body all up with a drug in it that just did not go well with me.
Right.
And all your solution is we'll just try another one.
I know.
And you know, that's one thing with Kate.
I think that's why we're all fighting for it, Dave.
Yeah, I've talked to Kate so many times. In order to switch a medication, it's not as simple as stopping that one and starting another one. You've got to come off of this one slowly. Mm-hmm. And then you got to go on this other one, and you got to hope and pray the side effects don't get you.
Yep. No,
and
you're right.
You know, the thing is, when Kate does that, she's using her experience and knowledge, but it's a guessing game to a certain extent to find that one that actually
100%. Yeah, people feel like they're like lab rodents, and that's what we need to figure out is like all these patterns in the brain, which is what we're trying to do.
I don't think people understand. You know, in law enforcement, you know, you would deal with people in a mental crisis, and there'd be a lot of times the only time you dealt with them is when they went off for medication. When they were on the medication, you never got a call on. And I never understood that whole scenario until I got on that medication. And when you get on that medication and it is doing what it's supposed to do, you don't feel normal. Because it has put you back in a better place, but that's not a place you're accustomed to being in anymore. That's not
it puts you in a better place. Sometimes it also disconnects you from everything and you don't even know how to live life anymore.
No, but what I'm saying is like I'm talking about a person literally going from you when they're not on their medication, it's some not excuse my but it's some kind of shit every day with them. Mm-hmm. And they feel great, but they're not.
Right.
And then you run into them 2 months later and you're talking to them, having a normal conversation, and you know, they feel like they're in hell because that's not a good feeling for them. Mm-hmm. Well, that's I was that way for a long time, and it's even like the ketamine now. You know, when I did this booster, I was still overall functioning fine, but I knew where I was going.
Right.
And I knew I didn't want to go. I don't want to go back down there again. I don't.
Well, I think that's a big piece, right? It's like this time when you came for ketamine, you recognized a pattern.
Oh yeah.
Or you called. And everybody, we all have patterns, Dave. All of us have patterns. It's just they're not traditional patterns that we think we would have. Like tell the audience, Dave, about the pattern that you noticed.
Oh, I started listening to music. At night and stuff. I solely listen to music. I try to drown the world out, and I tend to listen to songs that make you want to cry and stuff. Like I swear I try to make myself more depressed. You know.
Yeah, you're right. When people are sad, they do listen to sad music.
Yeah.
I used to listen to Metallica back when in my younger years as an athlete.
Been there, done that.
Younger years as an athlete working out at the gym.
You ain't that way anymore.
Not anymore. Now I'm listening to the soapy love songs, laying on my couch eating popcorn because
that looks like a PBR.
I know. I have to drink to these podcasts.
But like you know
sparkling water, Dave. Sparkling.
No, that you know what that is. That's let me go get
it's
you
a
some
girl drink.
Hey, I'm gonna go get you some sparkling water out of my sink in the bathroom, okay? Hold on just a minute.
You're gonna get some water and throw an Alka-Seltzer in it?
But um I don't know if you feel comfortable me talking a little bit about what I
Yeah,
experienced.
for sure.
Okay, well, we were talking. No one's ever gonna know like your and my relationship and how much shit we carry on about, both serious and just cutting up. But you're my family, and that's the way I feel. And we were talking about family. Well, I'm not going to go into what that conversation was, but so I had family on my mind, and I'm very blessed, fortunate, whatever, to have met both of your parents, and get to know them. Great, just great. I well, there's I mean, let's be honest, like your dad, he's a lot better person than what you are. I mean,
It's
let's
true.
be honest.
And
Um,
he also raised me,
yeah,
and how he didn't lose his mind,
yeah.
nobody will ever know.
But so I guess was this when I was first going into my disassociation or whatever?
No, you're about 30 minutes into it,
Oh, okay. See,
about
I
halfway.
don't, yeah, I don't know, but when your mom was sick, you trusted me enough to come down and just basically set up all night in case she needed something. And you forgot to tell me about her being a ninja. Um, and I mean, I was literally just laying down on the couch looking on my phone, and all of a sudden I look up and there's a ninja standing right next to me, and I never heard a sound. Scared me to death. Um, and For some reason, when I sent you a text and asked you if you can lead yourself into a area before a treatment, like if you can sort of guide that treatment, because um I was with your mom, and she was smiling. I mean, she was okay. You know, I don't have any trauma over your mom. But I do have trauma over my dad. And I, I remember, I don't remember if have I I've had over like 50 like treatments, have I?
50?
Yeah.
No, you don't have that
Okay.
many. You probably
Well,
had
let's just say, I'm just going to say 50,
20.
because I'm going to say 50 just because it's a number I can remember easy.
Okay.
I don't remember anything out of 45 of them, but I remember making peace with my dad and Shree's dad's passing. And I don't know if I was making peace for you with your mom. Just like it's like I needed you to know she's happy, she's okay. You know, and that worried me a little bit because uh that's not my mom. That's your mom.
Right. Well,
Um,
and things happen like that, right? With ketamine and
well,
psychedelics.
it
Like,
freaked me out because um I believe people show up that you were close to. I believe other people can provide you with messages. I truly believe that. I truly believe that when you're around someone that you consider family, and you know, I don't want you to get upset or anything, but I was around you when your mom passed. And so losing a parent is it's traumatic no matter what. I don't care what kind of relationship, good, bad, or whatever. That's your parent, and for me, it was like my little sister's mom from another marriage. So it did. I was sad for you, but as far as me having pain, you know, I guess maybe I was lucky. I wasn't around your mom for a long time to where I I looked at her as like a second mom or something. So I didn't get the heartache. My heartache was for you and your family, and But I truly believe that there's a reason. It wasn't for me, but did I come out of it with maybe a little better understanding about the ketamine treatment? I think I did. You know,
Well, and you went into it, right, based on you recognized a pattern of negativity, even though you were
well,
like in the darkness. And then when you went to do the infusion, you were able to navigate it better instead of,
yeah, because I also brought up the Lily Lid murders, correct?
that's right.
Yeah, and unfortunately that occurred in the month of April. Um, so every year I get reminded whether I want to be reminded or not because there's usually an article about it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's still like I always felt like I learned that was the first. I think that was the first people I seen no longer living that wasn't in a funeral home.
Hmm.
And and not only seeing that, but seeing it for the amount of time I did.
Right.
But I felt like I learned a lot of stuff from law enforcement because the TBI came in on it and stuff, and I was a new officer. I think I've been working for a year, so I got to see a totally different agency come in, and it was amazing at how they did their job, and so I think maybe I always will remember that just because I, there was learning out of that. It wasn't all tragedy for me. It was for the family and just for the 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 for people because you should people don't realize how many people are evil walking right beside you.
Sure.
And so like I don't feel like that. I feel like that was just stacked in there with all the other things I stacked, but as
Hey,
we've progressed, I don't feel like it was a fully traumatic experience. I did have some positive out of it.
sure. Well,
And
and it was interesting because you were kind of processing the murders, and then you said, your mom's here with us. And it was just kind of just a hop, right?
yeah, I just wonder if she wasn't there to help me.
Maybe, yeah, maybe it was a distraction because you were getting pretty granular with the details. But yeah, who knows? Who knows?
But there that's what amazes me is I have had multiple treatments. I've actually went through the full treatment twice, and I it just shows you how much shit I've got buried in my brain
We
because
all do.
you think I would have processed that a long time ago.
Well, you know what? I went to a psychedelic conference in Asheville the other day, and there was a psychologist there who was talking about how he's been doing ketamine for a long time. And he said that he notices now when he gets stuck and he'll just get an infusion. He goes, and I get unstuck every time. And he's been doing it for like 15 years. And that's the way it should be, right? Is if we
But
feel like
yeah,
we're stuck,
well,
instead of
Katie,
like
I'll
saying,
say it.
"Hey, you have suicidal ideations." Okay, well now you can get it because you're thinking about killing yourself. It's like just if you get stuck, go get an infusion.
Well, you
Get
got to
unstuck.
think. if everybody, if you could go and you had to pay a $50 copay,
Yeah, I know.
I would have to schedule an appointment 6 months to a year out
Yeah.
because so many people would be taking
That's what we're
advantage.
working on, right? I mean, I'm hoping this RFK administration is going to give approval for these
Well,
things.
let's don't. I'm very touchy right
Sensitive.
now about this new uh way of thinking with the president and stuff because I really would have never thought that um a a a your a spouse taking that person's last name could cause so much headache in their life as what it is right now to just prove that you are who you are so you can vote or even get your driver's license. You know, when your spouse has to take a birth certificate, a passport, all this just to prove that's who they are, to get their real ID,
Sure.
all because they took my last name.
Yeah, I mean, but it
Where
would be
where does
different,
that make
Dave.
sense?
It'd be
Why
different
why are we a country now that is starting to devalue women?
if you had one wife instead of 22, I would understand like why that would be
I,
frustrating.
listen, I I think 22 is fair. Um, when you are this, you're just trying to spread the love. You're trying to make.
You're trying to
I've made 21 out of the 22 happy.
now you're gonna get $5,000 a year for every child that you sprout out.
You know, we already pay. Listen, I'm 100% behind government assistance because there are people that need assistance. But these are the people that I see that were walking to Burger King to work a job every day. They weren't just living free off of the government. They were still working. They just needed help. And I
Right.
have no problem with that. But now we're going to pay people who already are getting paid to spit out more babies and then not take care of them.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, yeah, we
And
don't
you
have
know
it.
what they're going to do with that $5,000? They're going to go buy a 90-inch big screen TV.
True. They're not
They're not going to
spending it
buy
on the kids.
diapers. They're not going to buy diapers and formula and stuff.
Right.
They're going to spend it on them because that's the only reason why they had that child is to
Right.
get that $5,000.
No, I agree.
You know, like I said, I don't want to get into politics because everybody. I'm fully supportive. Believe whatever you want to believe. Be a Republican, be a Democrat, be an independent, be whatever you want to be. Just be respectful to other people. Just because you're a Republican and say I'm an independent, don't give you a right to tell me I'm a burn in hell or my thinking's wrong. No, let's talk about it. Let's have a good discussion. We're probably not changing either one's mind, but I tell you, somewhere there's a middle ground where we both agree that something's not right, whether it be because we have a Democratic president in there, a Republican president in there, or an independent president in there. There's a ground where we both actually meet in the middle and we agree on something. Let's talk about it civilized. Let's don't do personal attacks on each other. You're not a bad person because you're a Democrat or you're a Republican. You're a bad person if you can't open your mind up and be willing to listen to someone else who has a right to have their own opinion. And as long as that person's stating that opinion in a respectful and decent tone, that's all you that should be the minimum that's done. We've created our own evil.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, we destroy ourselves all the time, Dave. That's what we do. It's the way
Yeah.
we roll. All right.
Yeah.
We've been on 90 minutes ish.
This is never my fault. You purposely do crap to get me fired up and actually, like, I think if you went back and watched these other 15 episodes, you can see my just overall, like, I'm not saying I'm not negative 90% of the time because I'm very passionate and
I think your negativity has improved.
Well,
Or
yeah, but my negativity is based off of real life experiences. Like I've hit so many
I
roadblocks.
think you can rationalize your negativity
Yeah,
any way that
uh,
your little negative self wants to rationalize
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But I
but
still disagree with it.
right, right. But also, even you haven't hit the roadblocks I have.
No, you're right. I haven't at all.
You know,
Right.
but you're willing to allow me to have that negativity. But
Yeah.
I think if you just look at, like, I've been negative today, but I've been negative happy. And it's
You're not
because my
negative.
mind slowed down from that booster.
That's right.
Like
Yeah.
I'm clear of clutter right now. Now I've already started putting shit back in there because that's my problem. I can't just, I'm a hoarder. I truly am. I'm a hoarder
In your
that
brain.
I'm a hoarder that's learned to let somebody come in and clean out the clutter,
Yeah.
but I turn around and put it right back in there.
Sure. Well,
Yeah.
it's a pattern, right? It's a known pattern that you've been doing. But
Yeah,
you're
and a lot of it's off of um I
it's the
what
balance, right? It's the balance
well
of seeing it.
what,
It's all
what kind of
broken.
thinking do I have?
What?
What's my thinking?
Catastrophic.
Catastrophic. I couldn't remember that word. That a lot of it's because of that, because I'll take a situation that doesn't need to go there, and that's where I go. If I see a wreck on the interstate, like when I went over to Louisville last week, I drove over there. We had some bad rain, and like there was some bad wrecks, and I try not to look at them. Thinking that that's going to keep my
Sure.
brain from going somewhere, but when I've had a booster, I I mean I know the difference. I know right away. Like I don't get that anxiety. I don't get
You're
that.
able to navigate life
Yeah,
better.
yeah. But I also know I'm throwing that shit right back in my head, and
Sure.
I'm slowly
Yeah.
starting to feel my brain, my cranium, cranium up.
Look at
I don't
you.
know if I don't know if that'd
That's
be
smart.
accurate, but at least I know the word cranium.
That was good. And
Yeah,
there's a game. There's a board game called Cranium.
yeah. I'm not. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a surgeon because I really sucked at Operation the game. Where it had the little buzzer and you picked out the little bones and stuff. Yeah, I sucked at it. I lost that game every time.
Well, I
But
think Dave, I think it's you're not there. There's a difference in being in a negative space that's destroying you versus being frustrated with the
yeah, I'm
space that you're
frustrated right
fighting
now.
against.
Yeah, I'm overall I'm frustrated more than I am negative.
Right now you are. You're frustrated and you're ready to fight. But sometimes we all get so tired, we just get
Oh,
tired of fighting
yeah, I'm beyond tired
and
of
you get
it.
hopeless, right? And then
But
you reset, you step back, you take a breath.
but is it right to call it negative space? Like I don't think it's negative.
Mm. I think it can be. I mean, yeah, no, I mean,
No, I don't think it's
obviously.
negative. The way you view something, like it can't you. I think that's a label. We got to stop labeling this shit.
Yeah.
I mean that's a label. That let's not call it negative thinking. It's my thinking. Let's figure out how to make my thinking more positive.
That's
But
right.
but but it's not, to say it's negative almost makes you feel feel ashamed or embarrassed because that's how you think.
I hear you.
You know what I'm
I hear what you're
saying?
saying.
Most
Yeah.
of the time a negative like in your bank account is not a good thing. So you take anything negative, we've been taught through society that something negative is bad.
Right.
Okay, we can't heal if we think everything we're doing is bad.
Right. No, you're right, because that creates a cycle of shame. And what we need to do is we really have to stay away from shame at
Yeah.
all. Even if you're thinking negatively or you feel bad, we have to stay away from shame.
Well,
Because
I will say with you and me, when I'm going into that zone, you're like, I don't know if it's just automatic or if you make that choice, but your words you choose are always, there's never negativity. I never perceive anything coming out as being negative when you're trying to help me navigate. You know,
I am a very positive person, Dave.
well, I don't,
On
like I said,
purpose.
I don't know if you trained yourself to be that way with all your patients, or if that's just something you automatically sense and it just happens. But I will
Sure.
say you've always been like that's, even when you beat me up when I've been
And you talk back.
disassociated, like you
Right.
did this last time, you almost broke a rib. I still
I don't hit people where they bruise, Dave.
yeah, you're very good at that. I'll have to say, in order for me to prove my case, I would have to strip naked in front of the judge. Um,
Which you've done twice.
yeah, but you do. I mean, like I'm being very
And you
serious.
pooped in the chair last time,
You
remember?
huh?
You pooped in the chair last time.
I didn't know.
No, when you were stripped down naked in front of the judge. The reason I say this is because I just read an article today about a lady somewhere in the United States on maybe Southwest Airlines, but they had to go take her off the plane because she stripped down naked and she pooped in a chair on the plane.
God, I don't.
She's
I've
having a bad day.
listen. I've made a lot of progress in what 8 years. I mean that
Isn't that
you,
crazy?
you'd think 8 years, you might
No,
have
because
finally,
life is continually
yeah.
evolving.
But
Every day, Dave, every day.
I'm gonna throw this out here. If somebody does that on a plane that I'm on going to a job site, I'll probably be driving the rest of my life because I wouldn't handle that well. I really wouldn't like it's unfortunate that I understand you drive every day, you're gonna have car accidents. But I literally refused to drive for 6 months because I was scared to drive. Um, and it's something I'm always conscious of. Like when I about have an accident, like if somebody you accidentally cut over because they're in your blind spot, or they cut over, like it makes my heart flutter. And I have to tell myself, this is an everyday occurrence. This is natural. This stuff happens. But if somebody strips down naked on an airplane and poops on the chair, no, my luck, it's going to be right beside me. Um, I'm done flying. I'll just tell you, there's no recovering from that. But that I will say this: that's where I've learned. There's some things that I know that will impact me forever, and I try to keep that distance. Doesn't matter how healthy my brain is. Like right now, would you have to say my brain is as healthy as it gets, because I'm fresh off a booster. I've reset. I'm clear thinking. It's slowed down. Um, and I'm telling you, if somebody does that, I'm done flying.
And a bed.
You know what's weird, Katie? Then I'll wrap it up. Is I can handle a plane crashing and me being on it, and if I survived it, I would fly again because it's still the safest mode of transportation. But if a woman or a man strips down naked and poops in a chair, that is not normal. Okay, that is not normal. It is not. You know, um, but then there we go again. This all boils back down until mental health gets the correct recognition that it deserves,
Right.
and gets I'm sorry, how many commercials do we see on TV about mental health, about the preventive part of it,
Yeah.
of what services are available out there.
Well, and I
It,
think we're
it's
just now
never
starting
until
to
it's never
slowly
until you see it
understand it.
on a newspaper where they report on a celebrity that's lost their life, and then they put down at the bottom, if you're thinking about, so here's the number you can call. That's the only time there's ever anything about it.
Right,
It's
right.
always when a tragedy happens.
But Dave, here's the thing. There may be less than 1% of people in this world that are actually speaking about mental health and the capacity that needs to be spoken about.
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
And so we're just still very new with this,
But you
Dave.
know what the problem is? Out of that 1%, scientific people, smart people make up, I don't know, how do you like make up a majority of 1%? What would that percentage be? like 99% of 1% are highly intelligent people talking about it. And then that other little itty bitty part is people like me that no one listens to because I'm a nobody.
Sure. Right. Well, there's even less people that are out there treating people with this altered mindset of, hey, let's look at mental health like it's actually something that everyone has.
Yeah, and let's not go to
Work towards
page
it.
let's not go to page 12 of my book that says, okay, new patient, PTSD, we're going to start him on prescription
Right.
A. And if he's not feeling better in 3 weeks, we'll go to B. No,
Right.
quit messing with my body. Let's sit down. Let's talk enough to where you may say, you know what? I'm gonna skip A and B. I think we need to try you on C. And you know what? If I'm lucky, C works, and I only have to get my body adjusted one time.
That's right.
Yeah. So you work on that, Katie, and I'll
Don't worry, I'm
continue.
on it.
I'll continue my health fitness guru stuff to where I keep looking good. I'm a little red. I think the only way you can get a tan is to burn yourself multiple times. So I don't. I despise having lotion and stuff on me. Can't stand it. Um, so Cherie's like, did you not take any sunblock with you today? I'm like, yeah, I put it on my golf bag. She goes, well, maybe next time you could try putting it on your hands and rubbing it on you. Don't happen. But have a good night.
We'll do episode 17 sooner than we did episode 16.
Yeah, listen, I'm in Miami next week, Fort Lauderdale.
Ooh,
Back to
all the
my
things.
like I'm I'm a busy man.
You are Celebrity Dave Shell. Honored to be in your presence, sir.
I'm hoping, I truly am hoping. I wear my revivalist hat, and it has started a lot of conversations. And I'm hoping I get lucky one day and have the right conversation with the person that can make a difference.
Yeah.
And I think that'll happen if I just stay patient. I'll end up sitting beside somebody that um had to do a last minute trip, and they're not sitting up in first class, and they'll start a conversation with me, and it'll make a difference. And it won't make a difference. I'm not trying to make a difference for me. um I'm not. I can't. you know I have to, you make me come and walk, basically clean your bathrooms and mow your yard and weed eat and put a new roof on your house to get a discount on a treatment. And it's only $5. So it's not like, no, no, I'm just joking on that. But you've been very good to me. But I'm not doing it. I mean, honestly, it's too late for me. I've already lost my job, my career. You know, I truly, I just don't want, I really, I see a 25-year-old me somewhere out there, and I just don't want him to be like me.
That's right. That's right. That's why first responders and veterans, when you all are like, what's my purpose? I don't have a purpose anymore. Your purpose is you have been living in hell. You've had no structural support. You have nobody to help you. And now all of you know exactly what it feels like to where you can advocate for the younger generation so they don't have to go through the same shitstorm that you've walked. And
But you
that's a
can't,
huge
you can't put
purpose.
us with veterans, because at least the
I said,
government, at least
and
the government has acknowledged that that
I
is a
don't
problem.
I don't disagree.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, let's be honest, it still takes an act of Congress for them to get the help. You have to fight forever to get the payment to treat them. When you go ahead and
Yeah.
assume that they're going to pay you and treat them, halftime you're not getting your money. So like, they're not out of the woodworks by no means.
Right.
Nobody never needs to think that a veteran is provided health services for life and it's the greatest. It's not.
But you know what the vets are doing right now, though, is the veterans are pushing the hardest for psychedelics
But you
across
know
the
why
country
though?
because
How
they want
how
to do
how
them
how
because they
many
work.
commercials have you seen where there's a nonprofit organization with over 100,000 members that are helping veterans to get in homes and stuff.
Sure.
How many commercials have you seen for first responders?
I agree.
Oh, I've not seen a commercial.
Right.
You,
No,
you
I
know,
agree.
but now I'm not saying, and like I'm not saying that their world is perfect. It's far
You
from it.
all are first responders are a
And
population that's greatly overlooked.
yeah, but I have I I the thing is about it is only time you know when a law enforcement officer has been involved in a shooting is when it's gone what some group of individuals decide that that was an unjustified shooting. You know,
Sure.
we never hear anything about two officers were shot at multiple times on Tuesday night. And luckily they didn't get hit and nobody else got hit and nobody got injured gravely, you know. But with military, when they're in war, you already know that they're seeing the horrible stuff. You know, so you already know that. Well, the thing is, you don't when you're sleeping at 2 o'clock in the morning and I was driving by your house, you don't know what in the hell was going on.
Last night I was
You're
worried when I
trusting.
saw you.
You, you saw me last night.
Well,
I was
no, you said
I
you
thought here I thought my peeping Tom, I thought I was getting real good at it and was like a ghost.
were.
But you know what I'm saying? Like you trust that I'm gonna
Sure,
protect you.
absolutely. Like, yeah,
You assume that I'm gonna protect you.
there's a
You
lot of assumption with first
assume that I'm gonna
responder.
run towards that gunfire.
That's
You know
right.
why? Because that's what we're gonna do.
Yep.
We're gonna do that without thinking about it. And um we don't recognize for that.
You're right. First responders are a very overlooked population. I don't care your sex, I don't care your color, I don't care which area of the country you
No,
live,
and
whether
it
that's
doesn't matter
suburban or rural.
what line of work with a first responder.
Yeah.
You're all you know,
It's every
doctors.
first responder is overlooked. They're
Well,
not properly supported and they are our biggest protectors in our communities.
well, how many people feel sympathy for a doctor that maybe has PTSD? Well, very few, because you know what they're thinking is, well, he makes $300,000 a year.
Right.
Boo hoo! Give
Right.
me $300,000 a year. No, that's not true. You could pay me $500,000 a month to deal with this shit in my head, and I'll go, no, thank you.
Sure.
I'd rather have to pick cans up in a ditch every day to make money.
Yep.
Yeah. Hey, wrap it up, Katie. Words of wisdom.
Peace. Words of wisdom. Whenever you feel sad, down, dark hole, remember Dave Shell's been there too. And he continues to complain about when he goes there, but he's getting better at staying towards the light. So if there's hope for Dave Shell, there's hope for you.
That's a good one. Now, can I do mine?
Yeah.
Crystal Jesse. If you're going to give Katie that kind of a gift card, could I at least get 2 dozen donuts next time? Maybe one mixed with like powdered sugar and chocolate covered instead of
Powdered sugar and cocaine.
just instead of just a traditional original um crispy or Krispy Kreme donut. You know, I'm not.
Hey,
It's not
listen,
that I'm
listen,
not.
that's not a closing, Dave. That is a
Oh,
negotiation. You
um,
need a closing.
um,
I'm listening.
I feel good.
You look good.
I battle every day, but um, it's a lot easier to battle when your mind's clear, when it's got space. And I'm trying to learn. You know, I said this. If I went to the British Virgin Islands and tried the psychedelics, you know, I'm very scared about doing that because right now that's a hope that I have that it would work, and I don't want it not to work. And I understand part of that healing is the yoga, the walks, or whatever. You know, you have to put your whole body in that peaceful state. I I, that's not me. There's a lot of things I've had to change and I've been able to change, but there's some things that I stand my ground on because it's not me. And I don't want to lose that part of me. What I'm trying to do now is I'm trying to learn about the catastrophic thinking so that maybe I can learn a way to slowly change that.
That's right.
You know,
That's
um,
beautiful. You're right, though.
yeah, that if you don't give up, you got a fighting chance, but you have to open your mind up to it.
Yep.
Yeah. So I
want you to, this is recorded. Whenever you go down those dark holes, I want you to reflect back on what you just said.
I won't even remember what I said tomorrow.
That's why we're recording it.
Yeah, but it's a little scary watching these. Like,
I don't watch them ever.
Like 4 days later, and you're like, I'm like, where was I at during this conversation? Because I don't remember it. But I wish this is one time when I wish people could get in my brain and see
the magic.
Yeah, just see how much like
good, bad, ugly, whatever's going on.
But like after the treatment,
just yeah, I hear you.
It's literally like it's like this is good. It's like I don't think I'd ever eat fresh shrimp. I thought I was eating fresh shrimp until I finally ate fresh shrimp, and I was like, holy moly. This is like took it to a whole new world of taste.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because once you set the bar there, it's hard to ever reach that bar again. And that's what mental health is. It's my bar is set at where I'm at now. I understand I'm not better, but I am a lot better than what I was before that treatment. And
again,
that gives me an opportunity to navigate life.
That's a good
It gives me an opportunity to get better.
Sure.
And there's always going to be one roadblock in the way. And we gotta run through it. We gotta figure out how to get through it, and that is cost. We gotta get insurance to if they split it 50-50 with me, that would take the weight of the world off of my shoulder. Right. I'm not even asking you to pay for the whole thing. If you just pay for half of it.
Yep. No, I agree. And it will get there. I mean, it has to get there because the data is too good. The data is better than any of the data that's ever been out there.
I listen, but the problem is then that gets in their profit. And rich people don't want to not be rich.
Sure.
And poor people don't want to be poor. But we need the rich people to quit keeping us in that poor area. Listen, I make more money than I've ever made in my life, but that doesn't make it any more affordable to pay for these ketamine boosters.
Right.
But because life still happens and inflation goes up, cost goes up. But there's no company that can afford to pay you what it takes to keep up with it. They can't give you a raise every year that's going to keep up with the cost of everything that's gone up. It's not possible because then that company can't be in business. So I need the president, instead of worrying about a partner taking their partner's last name and now requiring you to show 625 different identification and proofs that you are originally someone other than a Shell or a Walker or whatever. I need you to say, hey, by God, we're going to make it to where when someone's struggling with mental health, and they want to get better, we're gonna make it more affordable for them to get better. And then I need these people out there that want to use every action they do that's wrong. They want to use mental health as a reason why they did that. That's horseshit.
Right.
You still, majority of the time, what's right and what's wrong. You make that choice to do the wrong thing. Now, I'm not saying always it's that way.
Well, but
But
you had the lack of care. I think to a point, lack of repercussions, you don't care.
yeah, well, yeah, but now there are some mental health things that they don't know right from wrong.
Sure.
And I still totally, I just don't agree that there's not somewhere for people that require that 24-hour care. We've taken that away.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm not saying that we need to bring back mental institutions or hospitals the way they used to be ran, but surely there's enough good people in this world that you can put in there working that's going to not abuse somebody and actually try to take care of them,
Right.
take them from themselves. And we don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not there. And let's not. What do you want? You don't lock me up and isolate me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't give me what I want, which is to be isolated.
Right.
That's unhealthy.
Teach
But
me.
um,
Teach me how to live.
I'm glad you got to see me today.
I am too.
You were out of the country, so you didn't get to see this scruffage here and stuff. But I know in your heart you was thinking of me. Like, I hope Dave's doing good today. And like I said, I thought of you twice today. Both of them were they weren't necessarily kind thoughts, but like I said, I've been around some very powerful women that have changed my life forever. I will always acknowledge it, even if they're not part of my life anymore. I still have the ultimate respect for what they did to help me. But it's nice that it's nice that it's nice having. I just think women are powerful. I really do, and it's nice having some of the strongest women I know in my corner.
Yeah, I
You and
agree.
you and Tracy Green and Kate, and there's several,
Bree,
yeah, there's several powerful,
Kennedy.
Kennedy, my God, she's taken me to the majority of my appointments, um and never questioned it. Gets a little aggravated at me when I want to stop at every food store on the way back home. Um, but yeah, I've met. I'm blessed with some powerful women,
Good.
and
Women
you'll
keep
get
the
there one
world
day.
going. What?
You'll get there one day. You'll be in that
I'll try.
that group.
I'll try.
Once you build me my pool,
Okay.
I need a pool.
I'll work.
Somebody we know has a pool over the hill from me, but
Oh,
I don't have. I
do you have
don't.
any like pull coupons?
No,
I
no.
just go over and go whenever.
Oh, that's what I should have asked for. Pool coupons instead of donuts.
Yeah.
Crystal,
Donuts and
Crystal, I'm forget that little plea for 2
rescinding the
dozen.
donuts, going for the pull coupon.
Give me 10 pool passes. I just need one for me. I'm not greedy. I'm not trying to get my girls up or anything.
Just
Once
you.
again, I can do it when like you're out of town or wherever where you don't have to see this body. You might want to turn the camera off so you don't see the body when you review tape or whatever. But I'll leave it like I found it, clean as a whistle. And I will promise to try not to pee in the pool. Sometimes it's hard to get out though.
Twice. You gotta do
Twice.
at least once just to like mark.
I know you got to mark your territory.
All
Get
right.
off here. Well, I'm in a healthy place, so I love talking.
That's good. That's right.
Yeah.
Talking
Well,
is a bridge
it's good
to.
unless you're trying to do a 30-minute video that turns into 2.5 hours.
It's true.
Yeah.
True.
So
Go get you some food. Enjoy your evening. Thank you for doing episode 16. We have 84 left until we do our second season.
we'll work on we have a deal
We do.
arranged, and you're
84.
you're almost your 5th month into this year.
Oh, I hear you.
Yeah.
Fine.
Bye,
All
everybody.
right. Have a good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.